Okay, good morning. This morning I have some thoughts to share about right and wrong, and particularly about when Christians disagree about what is right and wrong. Now, clearly there are times when that's going to happen. There are moments and many areas in which Christians will strongly agree about what is right and wrong. They're on the same side. There's basically a consensus. But of course there are times when that is not going to be the case, and when Christians are going to be in disagreement. And it might be because Scripture is not clear about the issue of what is right and wrong in a given situation, or maybe it is because of upbringing, cultural influences, parental beliefs, and someone's conscience has been shaped to accept things as right, even though Scripture would declare those things to be wrong, or conversely, their conscience has been shaped to accept something as wrong, and where Scripture would actually allow it. And of course then there are Christians who at times do not really care what conscience says. We would consider them in a backslidden state. They want to experience what the world and the flesh has to offer, and so they jettison what conscience says and step around it, or step over it, or step on it. And if we love one another, we will care about someone like that. And the Bible gives us permission to reprove someone who calls himself a Christian and disregards their conscience, and to bring correction to them and even church discipline. But that's not so much what I'm thinking about this morning. I'm thinking more about those things where Christians on both sides are justifying their actions and their beliefs by Scripture, and are doing so in good conscience. In other words, they are seeking to please God and believe that that is what they are doing. And both sides can point to Scripture, and both believe that they themselves are right and the other party is wrong. So my question is, how do we approach such a situation? And I have two points. First of all, I believe that there can be dialogue in that situation. There can be discussion. We can look at the biblical issues and see if we're missing something. Perhaps the other side has something to teach us. Conscience is not infallible. Conscience only convicts us about what we believe to be wrong according to the best of our knowledge. And if our knowledge can be improved, brought in line with what the Scriptures are actually teaching, then conscience can be upgraded or corrected, and will then act upon the new knowledge that it has. So dialogue is good and may prove us wrong and the other side right. Now, secondly, not only can there be dialogue, but here's something that we need to observe according to the teaching of Scripture. We do not have the right to coerce someone else to do something, or pressure them to do something that they consider in good conscience to be wrong. In other words, we cannot coerce somebody to act against their conscience, because if we do, we are basically causing the other person to go against their conscience, and that would be sin according to Scripture. Even if their conscience is misinformed. It is wrong and unloving to do this, and spiritually damaging to the other person. We cannot make ourselves masters over someone else's conscience. Neither, of course, can any agency or governmental authority. Any agency or earthly authority that coerces us to go against our conscience is overstepping their authority. And so it is even with husband and wife. The ultimate master over the domain of right and wrong is God alone. He has the final say over what is right and wrong. Okay, well now let's be practical. Some Christians in these pandemic times believe that the government is overstepping their authority by telling us that we cannot meet. And others believe that this is not the case. Both are holding their positions in good conscience before God, according to their best understanding of the Scriptures. Could either side be wrong? Perhaps. But until they see it clearly, the voice of their conscience needs to be respected. Coercion and manipulation is out of place. Love, acceptance, and respectful dialogue about the issue is the way to go. Well, I hope that's been helpful. If you ask where does Scripture talk about this, I would suggest Romans chapter 14, the whole chapter, and it has a lot of good instruction about how we as Christians are to treat our brothers and sisters when their conscience sees things differently than ours does. All right, that's it for today. Have a great day. Thank you.